She called the cops and screamed, "Arrest him! He's building illegally on HOA property." But I was standing on the land my father left me. The wind from the lake carried her voice across the water, sharp and angry like it owned the place. Karen, blonde bob, sunglasses at sunset, clipboard in hand, marched toward me like she was leading a parade. Behind her, two of her HOA friends stood by their golf carts recording every move I made. I stayed calm, wiping sawdust off my hands. "Ma'am, this is my cabin. Got all permits right here." She snatched the papers, barely looked. "These are fake. You people always pull this stuff. I felt that sting." "You people," but I didn't say a word. I just watched her tear the paper in half, toss it on the ground, and point to my half-built porch. "Tear it down by tomorrow, or the HOA will." I looked past her at the old oak tree by the water. That's where my dad used to fish every summer. This cabin wasn't just wood and nails, it was memories. But Karen didn't care. She took out her phone, snapped pictures, and said with a smirk, "We've already filed a complaint. County inspectors are coming. Good luck proving you belong here." I wanted to laugh. She had no idea. Because I am the county building inspector, and I was just getting started. The next morning I woke up to the sound of heavy engines outside. Through the window I saw 3 HOA trucks parked by my driveway. Orange vests everywhere and Karen standing in the middle like she was directing a military operation. She shouted orders while sipping her coffee. "Take down that fence first. It violates HOA aesthetics." I stepped out, calm but alert. "You don't have authority to touch that," she smirked. "Oh, I do now. You've been reported for illegal construction. The county inspector's on his way." I almost smiled. "Is that so?" Before I could say more, a tow truck backed into my property and hooked my pickup. "Hey, that's my truck!" I yelled, running toward it. Karen crossed her arms. "You can get it back once we verify ownership. Maybe next week." The sound of metal chains tightening around my tires hit harder than her words. My dad's old Chevy. It was the only thing I had left from him. I felt something burn inside me, but I stayed quiet. I wasn't ready to play my card yet. Then she pointed to my cabin. "After we deal with the truck, we're bringing the excavator. HOA policy says unapproved structures must be demolished." I looked at the workers. None of them wanted to meet my eyes. They knew something was wrong. Karen leaned closer, lowering her voice. "You thought you could build here and hide? We don't want your kind around this lake." I froze. "My kind?" I clenched my jaw. "You should stop right there," she laughed. "Or what, you'll call the county inspector?" I looked her straight in the eyes. "No need to call," she frowned. "What are you talking about?" I reached into my truck toolbox, pulled out my badge, and held it up. "County Building Inspector issued by Lakeview County." Karen's smirk faded. The worker stepped back, and for the first time, she had nothing to say. Karen blinked at the badge like she couldn't believe it was real. "You're lying," she muttered, stepping closer. "That can't be you." I slipped the badge back into my jacket. "You called for a county inspection. Well, congratulations. You got one." Her hands shook a little, but she forced a laugh. "You're bluffing. I've been running this HOA for 8 years. I know everyone at the county office." "Clearly not everyone," I said quietly. The workers looked nervous now. One of them whispered, "Ma'am, maybe we should wait." Karen snapped, "No. Keep going. Tear that porch down before I what?" I cut in. She turned red. "Before you make more fake reports. I know your type. You think you can get away with anything?" I stepped closer, just enough for her to feel it. "Ma'am, I've been inspecting illegal demolitions for 15 years. You just gave an order to destroy private property without permit. That's a felony." She froze again. I could see the panic flicker behind her eyes, but pride kept her standing. Then her phone buzzed. She turned it over and suddenly looked uneasy. I could hear the faint voice on the other end. Someone from her HOA board, maybe. Her face drained of color. "No," she said quickly into the phone. "Don't tell them that. He's bluffing." "He's not." I tilted my head. "Who's that?" "Someone finally telling you the truth." She hung up, stepped closer, and hissed, "You think you're smart? You don't know who you're dealing with. The county might protect you, but this lake, this neighborhood belongs to us." I just smiled. "Then you won't mind me checking the HOA's paperwork? Because something tells me you don't actually have the rights you claim." Karen's lips tightened. "You'll regret this." "Maybe," I said, walking toward the cabin. "But I don't think I'll be the one losing sleep tonight." As I opened the door, I noticed a small red tag pinned to the frame. Eviction notice. No signature, no county stamp, Fake, just like her authority, and right then I realized she wasn't just bluffing to scare me. She was covering something much bigger. That night I couldn't sleep. The lake was quiet, too quiet. Only the sound of water hitting the dock and a single owl in the distance. I sat by the window with a flashlight, staring at that fake eviction notice. The paper looked official at first glance, but the logo in the corner wasn't the county's, it was something else. Lakeview Homeowners Association, Private Authority Division. Private authority? There was no such department. I knew every legal branch in the county. Whoever made this was running a personal game under the HOA's name. I pulled out my laptop and started digging through property files. The records loaded slowly, line by line, until something caught my eye. The parcel number for my land had been edited. Someone changed the ownership line 2 months ago, from James Porter to HOA Reserve Lot 11. My father's name. Erased. I leaned back, the anger sitting deep in my chest. Someone forged county records? That wasn't just HOA abuse, it was a federal offense. Suddenly I heard a car door slam outside. Headlights flashed through the window. I turned off the lamp, peeked through the curtain. Karen. Standing by my porch again, flashlight in hand, whispering to a man I didn't recognize. He was tall, in a security uniform, but not from any company I knew. They walked around the cabin, checking the corners like they were planning something. Then the man said, "We'll start early. No one will stop us." Karen nodded. "Make sure he's not here when it happens." I stepped back, heart pounding. They were planning to demolish it tonight. I grabbed my phone, hit record, and quietly slipped out the back door. From behind the oak tree, I caught everything. Karen handing the man a thick envelope, him counting cash inside. It wasn't an HOA order. It was a bribe. Then she said something that made my stomach drop. "Once it's gone, no one will ever find the files." Files? What files? I turned off the camera and whispered to myself, "Karen, what the hell are you hiding?" The sound of metal clanging woke the night. I looked up and saw the beam of a construction excavator cutting across the dark sky. Its engine roared as it rolled up my driveway. No warning, no lights from the county, no permit tag. Just brute force in motion. Karen stood beside it, wrapped in her coat, arms crossed, face half lit by the cabin's porch light. The tall security guy, Mike, I'd later learn his name, gave her a thumbs up. "Do it," she shouted. The machine's arm lifted, steel bucket swinging toward my porch. I stepped out from the shadows. "You touch that cabin and I'll have both of you in jail before sunrise." Mike froze, startled. Karen spun around, her expression snapping from confidence to panic. "You again?" she hissed. "You're trespassing on HOA property. This land," I cut in, raising my phone, "is under county investigation, and I've got video of you paying off an unlicensed contractor to destroy it." Her face went pale. "You can't prove that's me." I played the clip. Her voice came through loud and clear. "Once it's gone, no one will ever find the files." Mike stepped back. "Lady, what files is he talking about?" Karen glared at him. "Shut up and do your job." He didn't move. Instead, he took a step toward me. "I didn't sign up for this. I thought this was official." Karen's mask cracked. "You'll get your money. Just finish it." The excavator's arm lowered a few inches, the cabin groaning under the pressure. But then blue and red lights lit up the trees. Sheriff's cars. Karen's mouth fell open. "You called them?" I shook my head. "Didn't have to. County property alerts go straight to my office when unauthorized equipment moves at night." The sheriff stepped out, hand on his holster. "Karen Miller, step away from the machinery." She tried to speak, but her voice broke. "This is a mistake, he's lying." "Funny," the sheriff said, pulling a paper from his jacket. "Because this warrant says the opposite. We've been looking into fake land transfers around Lakeview, and your name keeps popping up." Karen went silent. Mike backed away slowly, hands up. The sheriff nodded to me. "You did good, Porter. You caught her red-handed. But something still didn't sit right." Karen looked too calm now, like she had one more card to play, and as the deputies cuffed her, she whispered to me, almost smiling, "You think you've won? You don't even know who signed that transfer." Her words echoed in my head long after they drove her away. "You don't even know who signed that transfer." The sheriff and his deputies spent the night taking photos, sealing off the cabin and tagging evidence. But even with Karen in custody, something didn't add up. Why forge the documents if she already ran the HOA? Who was she protecting? At sunrise, I sat on the tailgate of my truck, still dented from the tow chain, and opened my laptop again. I searched through the property transfer logs, tracing every signature, every date. Then I saw it. The name on the final approval line wasn't Karen's. It was Sheriff Douglas Hale, the same man who had just shaken my hand hours ago. I stared at the screen, stunned. His signature was real, stamped and time-marked through county servers. He'd approved the fake reassignment himself, which meant Karen wasn't lying. She was working for him. I looked toward his car parked by the lake. He was still here, pretending to finish the paperwork. I watched him lean against his cruiser, talking quietly into his radio. Then, almost casually, he looked over his shoulder, straight at me. That's when I noticed it. The thin smirk on his face, like he already knew I'd found it. I locked my laptop, slid it into my bag, and started the truck. His voice came over the radio, faint but clear enough to hear as I passed. Yeah, he's seen it. Handle it before he files anything. My chest tightened. Handle it, I hit the gas. The road around Lakeview twisted through the woods, fog curling over the asphalt. My mind raced. Karen wasn't the queen. She was the pawn. And the sheriff, the man in uniform, was the one pulling the strings. Behind me, I saw headlights appear in my mirror. One car, then another, unmarked. No sirens. I gripped the wheel tighter. They weren't letting me leave that easily. The road curved along the lake, mist swirling in the headlights like ghosts. The two cars behind me stayed close, too close to be random. I could see their shapes now, county plates but no markings. One of them flashed its high beams twice. A signal. I pressed harder on the gas, but my old truck wasn't built for running. The tires skidded on wet gravel, and the back end fishtailed near the guardrail. Through the rearview mirror, I caught a glimpse of the driver, short hair, black jacket. Sheriff Hale's men. The radio on my dash crackled to life. "Porter, pull over. You're interfering with an active investigation." I grabbed the mic. "Funny, Sheriff, because I'm the one investigating you." A long pause, then a cold laugh. "You think anyone's going to believe a washed-up inspector with a grudge?" I didn't answer. Instead, I took the service road that led down to the maintenance docks, where county boats used to refuel. It was abandoned now, quiet, perfect. The headlights followed. I braked hard, spun the truck sideways, and jumped out with my phone in hand, camera already recording. The first car stopped 20 feet away. The second boxed me in. Hale stepped out, his badge glinting under the floodlight. He looked calm. Too calm. "Put the phone down, James." "Not a chance," he sighed, took a slow step forward. "You really should have taken Karen's warning. This land isn't what you think it is." "What's that supposed to mean?" He smiled. "This isn't about your cabin. It's about what's under it." For a second, I didn't understand. Then I remembered the words Karen had whispered during the bribe. "Once it's gone, no one will ever find the files." Files. Not just papers. Evidence. Old county storage vaults. Hale continued, circling closer. Records from the Land Commission 40 years back. Proof that this entire lake was miszoned. If people knew, half these houses would be illegal. The HOA's land would be worthless. "So you forged it all," I said. He shrugged. "Call it protecting investments." The sound of my phone still recording made him glance down. His face hardened. "You shouldn't have seen that." He reached for his gun, but before he could pull it, blue lights flashed again from behind the trees. This time real deputies, the ones from the county bureau. A woman's voice shouted, "Drop it, Hale." "We heard everything." I turned. It was Deputy Nora Ellis, Internal Affairs. I'd sent her the files an hour earlier, just before I ran. Hale froze, gun halfway drawn. Then he muttered, "You clever son of a..." But before he could finish, Nora cuffed him against his own cruiser. As they drove him away, the first light of dawn broke over the lake. The reflection hit my cabin. Still standing barely, I thought it was over. But I was wrong. Because when the deputies searched Karen's house later that morning, they found something buried in her basement, something that would change everything I thought I knew about my father's land. They called me down to the site just after noon. The lake was calm again, sunlight cutting through the mist, but the mood around Karen's property was heavy. Deputies were everywhere, digging near the foundation of her old shed. I saw boxes being carried out, dusty, sealed tight, stamped with a county crest so faded it barely showed. Nora met me halfway down the hill, clipboard in hand. "You'll want to see this, James." She opened one of the boxes. Inside were rolls of blueprints, files from decades ago, original survey maps, old zoning documents, an inspection report signed by my father. He was the one who discovered the miszoning years back, she said quietly. Looks like he tried to report it, but someone buried his work. Literally, I felt my throat tighten. The papers still smelled like damp wood and oil, the scent of his workshop. So he knew, I whispered. He was fighting them before I even understood what was happening. Nora nodded. And Hale's been covering it up ever since. The HOA got their hands on the land because of him. Karen was just his front. The truth sank in slowly. My father wasn't just building a lakeside cabin. He was trying to protect what was rightfully ours. What was stolen from everyone around the lake. Karen was sitting in the back of a cruiser nearby, eyes red, mascara running. When she saw me, she looked away. For the first time, she didn't look powerful, just small. I walked up to her window. You could have stopped this. She didn't answer, just stared out at the water. He promised me it was legal, she said finally. Said we were fixing old mistakes. By making new ones, I said. She flinched. The deputy closed the door and led her away. Later that week, the county reopened the land case, restored every false transfer, and cleared my father's name. My cabin permit was reinstated, this time with my signature and his framed right next to it. I rebuilt the porch myself, one nail at a time, the same way he taught me. When the last board went in, I stood by the lake and watched the sunset. For the first time in months, it was quiet again. A reporter asked me later what it felt like to win. I told her the truth. It's not about winning, I said. It's about reminding people that no one, no HOA, no sheriff, gets to decide who belongs on their own land. My dad fought for that. So do I. The story went viral, of course. Everyone called it the Lakeview Rebellion. But to me, it was simple. I didn't fight to be right. I fought to be free. And as the wind moved across the water, I swear I could hear my dad's voice in it, calm and proud. Good work, son. You built it right this time.